All right, Instagram, we are live. Good evening, everyone. Welcome to another episode of the Wilderness Fitness Podcast. I'm your host, Dr. Rob Minturn. Tonight, we're going to be talking about lifting heavy after a gap in your training. But first, there are some housekeeping things I want to talk about here. We've got Spicy Saturday. That's really the only thing. Tomorrow's Spicy Saturday, so I'm going to run through the workout real quick, and then I want to talk about some tips to get back into heavy lifting after taking a training pause, and then some reasons why you definitely need to be heavy lifting again. I've touched on it all week. It's been the theme for the week as heavy lifting. But again, I want to go over a few more tips after running through some emails or some more reasons after running through some emails why you guys should be lifting heavy. So the workout for tomorrow is pretty basic, pretty straightforward, but it's going to suck. Again, thank Justin for this. So you've got 4 rounds for time. So you're going to do a 400-meter run, and then you're going to do a max set of pull-ups. If the 400-meter run is not an option for you, depending on where you are at on this beautiful earth, you can do a run inside. You can do a row. You can do a bike. Whatever you got to do to get to 400 meters. Or if meters aren't an option, you can always set a parameter. That's probably going to take you close to a minute. 45 seconds to a minute. So something along those lines as far as if you're going to choose a different modality for the run, choose something that you can do for about 45 seconds to a minute. And then for the max set of pull-ups, if you can't do that, if you can't get probably at least 10 or so in a row, you're going to want to look at leg-assisted pull-ups or jumping pull-ups. I prefer the leg-assisted pull-ups because you can change how much assistance you're providing with your legs throughout the entire motion, whereas the jumping pull-up, you provide all the force with your legs as soon as you jump, and that's at the bottom of the pull-up, which is the point where most people struggle with the pull-up, and that's where you're providing the most assistance. So with the leg-assisted pull-up, you're providing a scaled amount of assistance throughout the entire range of motion with the pull-up. All right, without further ado, let's get on to the heavy lifting. So as far as if you've taken a gap with the holidays, with hunting season, all that stuff is coming to an end. Wisconsin's whitetail hunt is still going on, but I'm done for the year. And I think it seems like a lot of people are wrapping up for the season. So if that's the case, now that the holidays are wrapped up, maybe your goal throughout these holidays, the holiday season and the hunting season, was just to maintain your fitness. That's what mine was. It was not necessarily to progress. It was just merely to maintain. So I wasn't really lifting heavy. I was getting in the weight room once, maybe twice a week. I was running once or twice a week, and then I was hunting on the weekends. So it wasn't anything where I was going to progress, but it was something that I really didn't want to lose. So if that's the case, if that's where you're at, you were able to train, but you didn't necessarily fall off the mat completely, this is going to apply to you. If you fell off the mat completely and you stop training throughout the hunting season, you stop training throughout the holidays, you're going to want to take probably 2 weeks or so and do an endurance training phase, and then you'll want to mesh that into a hypertrophy training phase for a couple weeks, and then you can get into the heavy lifting phase, which is what I'm going to talk about right now. So that being said, with your warm-up, so now you're at the weight room, you're going to start lifting, or you're going to have a heavy lifting session for the day. With your warm-up, you want to start general. So you want to go from like a treadmill, a rowing machine, Stairmaster, really any sort of aerobic warm-up to get your heart rate up, your breathing rate up, your core body temperature up. So you want to start global. And then from there, you're going to move to more specific. So if it's going to be a deadlift for the day, you may want to warm up your hips a little bit, your glutes a little bit with maybe some single leg bridges, some glute work, some band work, maybe some hip mobility work. And then you can move into the deadlift that you're going to do. It might be sumo deadlift, it might be trap bar deadlift, it might be traditional deadlift with the barbell. Either way, you're going to move into that. And with that warm-up, you want to work well below your working set weight and then ramp up to that. So if you're going to do, say, 225 for your working set, that's going to be, that 225 is 85 to 90% of your 1 rep max. Say you do the bar for 15 or 20 reps, and then you're going to warm up maybe with 135 on the bar. You'll do that for 12 to 15 reps. And then from there, you can throw 35s on the bar. You might do that for 6 to 8 or 8 to 10 reps. And then you can bump up to that 225. You don't want to go from warm up on the treadmill, some glute work, some mobility work, go to the bar, do that 15 or 20 times, and then go straight to your working set. You want to bridge that gap as best you can with maybe 2 or 3 weight classes in between your working set. Once you get to that working set, you want that working set to be around 85 to 90% of your 1 rep max. If you don't know what that is, that's totally okay. You can take that weight and you're going to kind of guesstimate. It might take you a couple tries, but you're going to guesstimate. You want to have to put that weight down between 4 and 6 reps. You're not trying to go super heavy where you're getting very close to your 1 rep max, but you're not going super light to where you're still in that hypertrophy range. You're flirting with both the strength and the hypertrophy ranges. You're at the upper end of the strength range. You're at the lower end of the hypertrophy range. You're going to just do 2 sets there. So ideal or optimal, if you're crunch for time, research has shown that 3 to 4 sets of an exercise is optimal as far as strength progressions, hypertrophy progressions. That's all you really need to do. Yes, there are benefits to going 5 sets of 5, but if you're strapped for time, 3 to 4 sets is you're gonna hit the mark with that. With you getting back to the heavy lifting, you want to work below that. You're going to be sore no matter what you do, so you don't want to make it to the point where you can't squat down to the toilet, or you can't get up and off the couch, or you're having a hard time walking between rooms if you work a desk job and you have to go between cubicles. You don't want to make it to the point where that's going to be miserable. So these first maybe 2 or 3 sessions, you're just going to do 2 sets of this working weight. Again, it's 85 to 90% of your 1 rep max, and or you're fatigued at 4 to 6 reps. The next piece of this is you're going to take 3 to 5 minutes in between each set. So the resting time is very crucial with this, because you're going to allow the creatine source to recover. You're going to allow complete recovery of the muscle, of those type 2 muscle fibers. If you take a shorter rest break than 3 minutes, you're not allowing it for that full recovery. So you've got to allow that 3 to 5 minutes to happen. You can walk around the gym, you can go on the treadmill and walk at a very slow pace. You're really not trying to ramp up and trying to get another exercise done in between then. You're chilling, okay? Which is very hard for some people to do. They don't feel like they're doing anything with that time, but you're recovering and you're going to allow that next set to be optimal, all right? So 2 working sets of 4 to 6 reps. Rest time is 3 to 5 minutes in between those sets. As you warm up with that, you don't have to take the 3 to 5 minutes in between that, maybe 2 to 3 minutes in between those warm-up sets as you build to that working set, all right? And then once you're done with that main lift, so your squat or your deadlift or your bench press, depending on what you're starting with that day, but usually the squat or the deadlift with the way that I program, then you've got your auxiliary lifts. So again, you're just going to do 2 working sets here. You're not really trying to move the fitness needle on these first 2 or 3 sessions anyway. You're just trying to do enough to stimulate a change, and that way the next time that you do it, you can go to that 3 to 4 working set mark, and then you can start to hit the heavier weights with that too. But with these first 2 or 3 times, you're looking at two working sets of 6 to 8 reps. Again, you're staying below, or you're flirting with that lower end of the hypertrophy range. You're working a little bit heavier, but you're not quite to that strength and power range yet, but you can work your way there as your workouts go on. And with this, it kind of goes along with the rest and the recovery. You want to leave this workout feeling good. You want to leave this workout feeling like you could turn around and do that whole thing over again. You don't want to fatigue yourself out to the point where you can hardly walk out of the gym. That's not the point of these workouts, especially as you're just starting to get into it. There's a grading scale that I've started to use with workouts. It's grade A through F. Grade A is you're feeling great. You could turn around and do that over again. That's how you want to walk out of these first 2 or 3 initial heavy training sessions. You're feeling great. You could turn around, literally go back to your car, grab a snack, and turn around and do it all over again. That's how you should feel. All right, so enough with the tips. Reasons why you need to be lifting heavy. Again, I've touched on it all week, but I want to touch on a few more. I scrolled through my email lists that I'm a part of, and I found a few more reasons. One of them being a testosterone boost. So there was some pretty interesting research done. It's a very small sample size, so don't take it as the gold standard, but what it did show was pretty interesting. So this research article took a 51-year-old male who had been weight training since he was 16. He's a two-time Olympian, so he's pretty good at what he does. But that's beside the point. They compared his human growth hormone and his testosterone levels to that of 23, 17, and 18-year-old males. They did 4 different measuring times. That really is irrelevant. What the main takeaway was, the 51-year-old had higher levels of resting testosterone than the 17 and 18-year-olds. What that is signaling is that this man who had been lifting all of his life, pretty much since the age of 16, his resting testosterone levels were higher than that of boys going through the peak years of puberty, which is usually when testosterone levels should be the highest. Why is this important? After the age of 30, our testosterone levels really start to drop off. We start to lose 1 to 2% of our muscle mass if we're not doing anything significant to reverse those effects. So other things that go into the reduction of testosterone levels, so age being one of them, poor sleep being another, alcohol intake being another, and then lack of resistance training. When you resistance train, immediately after you get done lifting weights, this is both in men and women, immediately when you get done lifting weights, there is a bump in testosterone levels. With that, this 51-year-old male had shown that he had repeatedly done this, and so his resting testosterone levels were higher. What that means is that you're going to have higher energy levels, you're going to recover quicker, you're going to be able to keep up in the mountains, you're going to be able to keep up with your kids well into older adulthood, despite the fact that this guy was, 32 years older than some of these other folks in the study. So pretty interesting stuff there with testosterone boosts and lifting heavy weights. The other thing was running economy. So this research article looked at, it was over 300 programs of high load, low rep range, and then high rep range, low load as far as resistance training goes. And then they also looked at plyometrics, so that's quick feet, football type stuff, basketball type stuff. So what this research article had found between all these programs is that the high loads, so loads greater than 80% of your 1 rep max, were associated with improvements in running economy, especially at higher speeds. And in this research, or in this article review, the higher speeds were associated with speeds greater than 7.5 miles an hour. So that was pretty interesting. The other thing was plyometric training, so the quick feet stuff like speed ladder, jumping drills, all that. This research article review had shown there may be a correlation between, or some positive effects between running economy and speeds of less than 7.5 miles an hour. So those who are endurance runners, and not necessarily sprinters, but folks who are just running for endurance, zone 1, zone 2 stuff, plyometric training could have a positive effect on your running economy. There is definitely an effect on injury prevention because of the way that the muscles are stimulated with the plyometric training. That I knew, but I did not necessarily know that it improved running economy. And then finally, or I guess the third thing, plyometrics and heavy loads had a positive effect on the running economy at higher speeds. Again, that's greater than 7.5 miles an hour, which is pretty quick. I think the average speed is around 5.5 for average zone 2. So that's going to be a pretty quick one. That might be an interval run, but again, it showed improvements with the running economy there. And then the last thing that this showed was submaximal programming. 40 to 79% of your 1 rep max had no effect on running economy. This is pretty big because in the running world, and I'm sure it's in other endurance events, but in the running world, folks are very hesitant to lift heavy weights. There was another research article done that adolescents, so basically high school athletes, associated heavy lifting with injury. And so with this research article coming out and showing that loads that were less than 80%, between 40 and 79% of someone's 1 rep max really had no effect on their running economy. So insinuating that, again, you need to train heavy as a runner, as an endurance athlete, as a rower, as a hiker, as a backpacker. You need to be training at a higher 1% of your 1 rep max than the low weight, high rep range. There's just a ton of benefits there as far as injury prevention and improvement with your performance. So, and this can apply, like I said, to rowing, cross-country skiing, or in that time of year, hiking, all those endurance activities that you can improve your economy with that. So, all right, no questions? Sweet. Okay, you guys have a wonderful Friday evening. Enjoy the last weekend of 2024. Hopefully you guys get out there and do something crazy, but not so crazy that you end up on the front page. Peace. Hey, thank you for tuning in to the Wilderness Fitness Podcast. If you enjoyed this episode, please head over to your podcast app and consider leaving a review. If you think a friend or a family member may benefit from listening to this podcast, please consider sharing this episode with them. We appreciate your help in the growth of this podcast. Check us out on Facebook and Instagram for even more content in the weekly Hump Day Q&A, where you can get all of your human performance, rehab, women's health, and injury prevention questions answered. If you're interested in getting hooked up with even more content from Wilderness PT from the comfort of your own home, head over to wildernessphysicaltherapy.com and get signed up for the Spike Camp membership. This is where you'll have access to prior seminars and a workout that'll have you in shape each fall, designed by yours truly. Since you're there, check out the mid-month media newsletter that goes out 1 to 2 times a month, which includes a variety of topics with the most recent research on health and human performance. You can sign up by hovering over the free resources section and subscribe to any of the free guides, or simply sign up under the mid-month media newsletter tab.